Welcome back to Palestine Bookshelf. I'm Stephen Heiner, and today we're going to discuss Are You Ready to Enter Gaza and Other Stories by Shaza Abu Dayeh. Now, this is interesting how I got a hold of this series of essays and articles written by Shaza. She actually has a Substack account and ended up contacting me and asked if I'd be interested in looking at her stories. And obviously, I would be interested in hearing from somebody who's actually living through the horror that we've tried to talk about in some small way here on Palestine Bookshelf. So what I've done is I printed out all of the stuff that she sent me. I'm going to put a link to her GoFundMe for her family in the description for this video. But I'm going to read excerpts from different articles and different, you could say, chapbooks that she's written about this. And obviously here, there's no such gate, that says Gaza on it, that she was using AI to give some sort of sense, some sort of cover to this. But this is the first one I'm going to start with is what the question she asks about the gates of Gaza. Welcome, dear reader. You are now standing at the gates of Gaza. You are at the threshold between the life you know and a hell you cannot imagine. Are you ready to face your fate alone? Are you ready to stand face to face with death every day, every hour, every minute? Are you ready for the hunger that tears through your stomach and the thirst that dries your throat? Are you ready to sleep on the cold ground under the unceasing roar of warplanes? Are you ready for loss and grief to become part of your day, part of your soul, part of every breath you take? Are you ready to leave your home in an instant, fleeing under bombs and gunfire, taking nothing but your fear-laden body? Are you ready for all your dreams to become memories and for everything you built in your life to turn into rubble, crushing your hopes beneath it? Are you ready for your home's walls to collapse, for your ceiling to be nothing but the sky filled with fire and death? Are you ready to survive more than 555 days in the heart of hell, where you see death in every alley, hear its screams in every street, feel it creeping into every corner? Are you ready to lose everything in a single second? Your job, your university, your home, your loved ones, your money, your car, and even yourself? Are you ready to abandon the life you once knew, to eat from expired food cans, to drink water mixed with dust and blood? Are you ready to witness the never-ending scenes of final goodbyes, the ones that kill the soul before bullets do? Are you ready for your daily routine to become waiting in endless lines for bread, for water, for anything that can keep you alive? But do not hope too much, for at any moment those cues may be struck by a missile, turning waiting into a massacre, and perhaps you will be among the victims. Are you ready to wake up to the screams of people fleeing their homes under bombardment? Are you ready to grab your children and run with no direction while tanks chase you from behind, drones hover above, and shells rain down around you? Are you ready to lose everyone you love in a single moment without even getting the chance to say goodbye? Are you ready to spend your nights in a hospital, not in a room or a bed, but on cold tiles among the wounded and the dead? Are you ready to live in a shelter school where more than 5 displaced families share your classroom, bound together only by genocide and displacement? But do not think it's just for a night or two. You will stay there indefinitely, unless another wave of displacement forces you to abandon even this miserable refuge. Are you ready to silence your screams, to watch the truth buried before your eyes? Are you ready to be arrested without reason, to be dragged into the unknown, to be tortured to death? Are you ready to be buried in a mass grave or to have your lifeless body left in the streets, devoured by stray dogs? Are you ready to have your organs stolen while you're a corpse? Are you ready for all this? Answer honestly within yourself, because if you are, then welcome to Gaza. But you must know, no matter what you read, no matter what you see, no matter how much you think you understand the scale of the catastrophe, the reality is crueler, deeper, and more monstrous than anything you could imagine. If you are ready, then welcome to the world of silence and betrayal. Welcome to Gaza, where hell has become reality, death a companion, and life just a battle for survival. Extraordinary to read such a text that so encapsulates what many of us have only witnessed from afar for the last 2 years, and people like Shaza have actually been living. At night, when the darkness falls, it is not the darkness that reigns, but flare bombs that turn the sky red like hell, as if signaling that death continues, that eyes will not close, that safety will never come. You toss and turn in your bed, but sleep is impossible as fear surrounds you. Bullets never stop, and bombardment continues mercilessly. But despite the hell, Gaza remains steadfast, not because death has become familiar, but because life there fights not to be erased. The children who grew up amid the rubble, the women who bid farewell to their children, then return to bake bread, the men who carry the bodies of their loved ones then rise to continue their path, these are the ones who write with their blood the lines of eternity. Gaza is not just a city, not merely a tragedy. It is a symbol of a wound that will never heal, but it is also a testament to resilience that will never be broken. And as the pages of this book are closed, Gaza continues to write its history with its tears and its blood, remaining a scar on the face of the world, which chose to remain silent in the face of the greatest crimes of our time. But no matter how they conspire against it, no matter how hard they try to erase it, Gaza will remain unyielding to extinction, because simply, it is not just land, but a spirit that refuses to be broken. This is taken from another text written this year about her children, Hamza and Anwar. What tears me apart the most are Anwar's words. So I think Anwar is 4 years old. He looked at me with eyes full of terror and said, "Mama, I don't want to die." Simple words, yet they cut through my heart like a knife. A child of only 4 years who should be playing and enjoying life stood before me, crying, asking to be spared from death. How can a child so young be burdened with the fear of death, having barely begun his life? Whenever I recall those moments, I can't hold back my tears. I cry because Hamza and Anwar have never truly lived their childhood. Instead, they've been trapped in a vortex of fear and anxiety since their earliest days. But I didn't tell them it would be a hard and exhausting journey, so they know that they have to move from where they are. I think they were in Han Yunis. And she's trying to encourage them, telling them it's going to be a camping trip. But I didn't tell them it would be a hard and exhausting journey. I didn't dare tell them that we might never return to our home or that their lives would be turned upside down. I didn't tell them that, like our grandparents before us, we had become displaced, not knowing when or where this journey would end. I didn't mention that we were heading toward a dead end or that survival itself might become a miracle. I couldn't bring myself to tell them that we'd be living in an unsafe tent without the slightest sense of security or stability, or that death might accompany us on this journey. All I told them was that we were going camping, just like they see in the YouTube videos. They were so excited about this trip. Anwar wasn't afraid of needles or doctors like other children. Instead, his fear was consumed by the terrifying sounds of nearby bombings, sounds that pierced the heart and spread terror through the air. I tried to ease his fear, telling him those sounds were just fireworks, like the ones children play with at parties, and there was no need to be afraid. He almost believed me, but just as I finished speaking, a bomb exploded near the hospital. Fear and panic gripped me. I grabbed Anwar in my arms and fled from the hospital, his cries echoing through the chaos. I ran under the rain of bombs, holding him tightly as he wept hysterically in a state of sheer terror. I felt a crushing weight on my chest, a profound sense of helplessness. My child was crying, and I couldn't do anything for him. I couldn't stop the bombing or shield him from this nightmare. I tried again to calm him, telling him it was all just fireworks and that we were playing, and there was nothing to fear. But he didn't believe me. I was shocked when he said, "That's not fireworks, that's bombing from the Israelis." A 4-year-old child, burdened with this level of terror and anxiety. I was devastated when he uttered those words. How could such a young child already understand the reality of bombings, carrying within him the heavy awareness of the random death that chases us? My little boy Anwar asked me with his usual innocence, "Why is Israel bombing us, Mom? What did we do to them?" He looked at me with eyes full of both innocence and fear, as if asking if death was our fate. His small voice carried the weight of the heaviest words. "I don't want to die. I want to play and go back to our home." What truly breaks my heart is the difficulty my children face in sleeping. When night falls, they would sit close to me, clinging to me and asking questions that shock me each night. Mom, will the Israelis bomb us now? Mom, is it possible for a dog to come into the tent and eat me? Mom, will the sky turn red now and missiles fall close to us? Mom, will I die? Mom, I don't want to die. Mom, will a soldier kidnap me? Mom, I'm very scared. I listened to these questions with tears filling my eyes, trying to hide my sorrow as I told them we were on a journey, that the bombings wouldn't happen, and that the dogs wouldn't harm them despite the fierce barking surrounding us. I lied to them to make them feel reassured, pretending that those dogs posed no danger, although I knew they might be sent by the army to scare the residents. Every night, I fought with myself to maintain a smile, attempting to convince them that the world was still okay and that we would get through everything. But with every question my children asked, I felt the weight of pain and worry seep into my heart, living in a constant struggle between the desire to protect them and the dark reality surrounding us. Our suffering during the summer felt like an endless nightmare, where the sun did not come alone but brought with it fear, anxiety, and haunting memories of days gone by. Every passing minute felt heavy on my chest, especially when I saw my children succumb to exhaustion, while their dreams faded in the face of harsh reality. I lived each moment in worry for their future, with a heart aching for a normal life, where children could laugh and play without fear of betrayal or the darkness of the night. Each time Anwar speaks, I feel overwhelmed. How can a 4-year-old child bear the burdens of adulthood? What's even more painful is what remains of my home, a wall marked by the army that reads, "The best job I ever did in my life." Do you take pride in destroying my children's toys and memories? Is that an achievement for you? I am struggling immensely with Hamza right now. At just 2 years old, he cannot speak much due to the overwhelming fear that grips him. This deeply concerns me. Even though he occasionally utters "Mama" and "Daddy," these moments are rare. Hamza always seems tense, sad, and anxious, feeling helpless to express his emotions. He often resorts to screaming and crying as a way to communicate his pain, despite my repeated attempts to soothe him. My sisters are trying to teach him the alphabet, and he responds to them, but every time there's an airstrike, he breaks down and starts crying again. He also suffers from bedwetting due to his constant fear of bombing, which has forced me to put him in diapers. Recently, the price of diapers has skyrocketed, with a single pack costing $100, a sum that exceeds my financial capacity. I can't ask if you're enjoying this content, but if you're finding this content useful and illuminating, please consider hitting like, subscribe, hype to share this with people who are interested in finding out what is going on in Gaza from an eyewitness, somebody who's actually going through this now. This is an account of visiting her brother in the hospital after he'd been wounded. When he arrived, the scene was like a final waiting station. Dozens of martyrs lay stretched out on the steps at the hospital entrance, their bodies sprawled as if waiting for a train with no return. Some still clutched their medicine, others had their prescriptions fused with their blood-soaked clothes. Their faces were pale, but they screamed silently. We only wanted to live for just one more moment. Among them, the voices of the wounded pleaded for survival. Here a man had lost his leg, there a child whose spine was shattered by shrapnel, his body condemned to paralysis, a woman half her body burned to ash, and another man with wide frozen eyes as blood boiled in his chest. Everything I saw surpassed the darkest horror films, yet it wasn't fiction. It was reality itself, and reality in Gaza shows no mercy. My father searched through the faces of the dead, moving between the features of the wounded, like one looking for a needle in a haystack of blood, until he finally saw him, Mahmoud. His body was in a dark corner of the hospital, thrown to the ground helpless. His legs were drowning in blood, one of them mangled, almost severed after being crushed by a massive piece of shrapnel. His chest was bleeding internally from another fragment lodged near his heart. He groaned in a hoarse voice, writhing in pain, but no doctor approached. No medic could do anything amid this ocean of bodies and screams. As I stood before him, I didn't see only my brother. I saw all of Gaza. I realized that Gaza is not killed by bombs alone. Here the soul is slaughtered every day, by abandonment, by helplessness, by hunger, and by waiting at the doors of hospitals that have turned into slaughterhouses. This is from an essay that she wrote in August of this year called Death in Gaza. Its forms vary, but the outcome remains the same. A handful of trucks entered the strip carrying scraps of food, barely enough to feed a single residential block, while over 2 million people are trapped in total starvation and a collapsed supply system. As a daughter of this land, a direct eyewitness to this catastrophe, and a specialist in exposing the crimes of the occupation, I write today to lay bare the cold, calculated plan executed against my people. The 5 trucks that were allowed in came with zero protection. Orders from the Israeli military were clear. The trucks were to head directly to designated evacuation zones, which had previously been depopulated by force and then flattened by bombardment, such as the Al-Mahata area in Han Yunis and the Maraj zone in Rafah. These are the very places the occupation turned into death zones, now suddenly repurposed as aid drop points. People were forced to walk into these locations face to face with tanks and armed soldiers. Any movement, any crowd, any hunger-driven rush could be interpreted by the occupation at its own whim, resulting in a tank shell, a hail of bullets, or a drone strike. Each day, the same horrifying scene repeats. Tens of thousands of starved, exhausted civilians swarm flimsy aid trucks, hoping to grab a loaf of bread, a bag of rice, or a single tin of food. Anything to silence their children's cries for one more night. But 5 trucks cannot feed an entire besieged population. The disaster didn't stop at humiliation. The occupation had deliberately targeted these crowds with direct shelling, random airstrikes, and drone-fired bullets on more than one occasion, and the outcome is always one of 3. Either you miraculously survive but return home empty-handed, or you return bleeding and wounded with no hospital able to take you in, or you simply never return, becoming just another name on the list of martyrs. More than 1,373 people have been killed while trying to reach these aid trucks, and the famine continues worsening by the day. Every so-called aid drop is nothing but a scene of humiliation, a soundtrack of fear, and blood on the bread. This is not humanitarian relief. It's a new trap for collective death. As long as the occupation controls where the truck stops, when it arrives, and who gets near it, then every new truck entering Gaza is just another pending massacre. What's happening in Gaza can no longer be called an airdrop. It is aerial humiliation in every sense of the word. In recent days, planes have been dropping food aid via massive pallets, but the scene carries no hope, only terror. Where does this aid land? Some are deliberately dropped into the sea, forcing the starving to swim only to drown in open waters. Others fall into so-called evacuation zones, previously declared unsafe by the occupation. People rush there, desperate for food, only to be bombed once again. Most horrifying are the drops that land directly on displaced people and their tents, killing those beneath and destroying their only remaining shelter. In an age of smart weapons and precision drones, calling this a mistake is naive. This is part of a systematic strategy of starvation and slaughter. These airdrops have turned into death traps. More than 500 people have been killed by these aid deliveries, countless others injured. And still, famine tightens its grip on the Gaza Strip. This is from an essay called The Forgotten Face of War in Gaza, 147,089 wounded, yet no one sees them. They are the ones who remained alive in bodies that no longer truly live. In Gaza, the wounded are not merely people with surface-level injuries. They are those who lost one or both legs and can no longer walk. Those who lost their right hand or both hands and can no longer eat, dress, or hug their mothers. Those who lost one eye or both and now live imprisoned in eternal darkness. Those whose hearing was taken by the blast and can no longer hear their children's voices. Those left fully paralyzed, stripped of their freedom to move. Those who lost the ability to speak after head trauma, with screams forever trapped inside their chests. Those whose psychological and social lives were shattered, leaving them unable to connect with anyone around them. Many of these wounded wish the missile had ended their lives, rather than leaving them prisoners in their broken bodies. They are the forgotten faces of war, the stories left unwritten, the pain that never makes the headline. Under a suffocating siege, they receive no medicine, no treatment, no hope. This is another essay which was written earlier this year called Are We Facing a New Operation? What the occupier speaks of is not just a plan, but a blueprint for total uprooting. 1 million Gazans are being pushed into Rafah, yet Rafah itself is no longer a city, but rubble and ruins. And the bitter question remains, after Rafah, where? The answer is clear in their intentions. Forced deportation outside Gaza to Libya, Syria, or Somalia, as the occupier claims under relentless fire that shows no mercy. This is the end they seek, to rip people from their land, erase Palestine from its human geography, and turn every Gazan into yet another refugee in an endless journey of exile. This last essay, Interception of the Global Steadfastness Flotilla to Break the Siege on Gaza, was written in October of this year. And in it, Shaza just expresses her appreciation for the people who participated in the flotilla. The activists who came from over 40 countries carried no weapons and threatened no one. All they did was wear life jackets and carry hope with them. Yet, Israeli soldiers stormed the ships brutally, boarding them illegally and violently, disabled the cameras to prevent documentation of their assaults, and tried to hide the truth from the world. So far, one ship still remains unimpeded, but it is threatened with arrest at any moment if it approaches the shores of Gaza, as if even the sea itself has become besieged like us. What happened is not merely a military operation, it is a new humanitarian crime added to the occupation's record. Denying food and medicine to 2 million people, deliberately starving them, bombing their homes over their heads, and forcibly displacing them from their land. Yet the global solidarity we witnessed through this flotilla remains a beacon of hope for us in Gaza, a hope that tells us we are not alone, and that there are still free hearts beating with humanity in this world, refusing to remain silent in the face of the ongoing genocide we endure day after day. From here, from the heart of my tent in Gaza, I send my greetings and my voice to all the participants of the Freedom Flotilla who were assaulted while carrying hope and humanity for us. We here in Gaza stand in solidarity with you. We support you, pray for you, and stand with every free person around the world who shares our suffering and has not faltered. We know you, we feel you, and we salute you from the depths of our hearts. So you may not know too much about Shaza. I'm just going to read you a little bit here. It says about the author. I am a 29-year-old Palestinian woman holding a degree in psychology as well as a certificate in sign language translation. Everything you read in this book is not just words, but the reality that my family and I have lived day by day, moment by moment, amidst destruction, displacement, and suffering. I have tried my best to share even a small part of the harsh reality that the people of Gaza are enduring, hoping that my message will reach the world. If my words resonate with you, you can be a part of hope by offering simple support that helps my family and me continue, giving us a glimmer of hope amidst these difficult circumstances. You can visit my Instagram page, which is Shaza from Gaza, which I'll link to as well in the description, where I share more details about life in Gaza, and you can check out the highlighted stories documenting our daily life and struggles. Feel free to share this with your family and friends so we can all be a voice for Gaza and its people. Thank you from the heart for your time, your attention, and for every humanitarian gesture that restores hope to us. All right. So, as I said, I will link to all the ways that you can support Shaza and her family, her GoFundMe, the Instagram page, her Substack page, where I originally had a chance to get to know her slightly before doing this reading. And a reminder, another way that you can help get this word out is by hitting like or subscribe, sharing this with other people who'd like to hear stories from Gaza, from people who are going through what they're going through. If you'd like to thank me for this presentation, there are links to PayPal and Buy Me a Coffee below. If you'd like to get early releases of videos like this one and have a chance to get a exclusive monthly video behind the scenes, talking about what I'm thinking and what I'm reading, there's a link to Substack below. You'll also see my Amazon wish list. You'll see all sorts of books on there. Obviously, books that are about Palestine are for this channel. Other books are for my Stephen Heiner project. If you're interested in checking out that book review channel, that's also linked in the description. You'd simply buy a book, send it my way, and I'll do my best to review it in a timely manner. The channel is probably not going to be monetized through YouTube, but it has been through Substack. And a reminder that 100% of any of the profits that we make from that go to the Palestine Children's Relief Fund, which is a medical charity that helps Palestinian children get medical care they could not otherwise get. So please check out their work there at pcrf.net. You can help them directly by going to that website and supporting them, or help them indirectly by supporting us through Substack. Another fundraiser we've started recently is for the Hind Rajab Foundation, and it's a sticker fundraiser. So we have various stickers on Palestine Bookshelf, so you can see them all here. And you can buy as many as you'd like. 100% of the proceeds from that fundraiser will go to support the Hind Rajab Foundation, which initiates legal actions against Israeli war criminals, which I think is a good use of money. Until next time, enjoy your reading.